This lesson is continuing our comma focus on our grammar game plan unit. This time we're looking at how commas join sentences and focusing on grammar game plan errors 13 and 16 with compound sentences and comma splices. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to define and identify compound sentences, define and identify comma splices, and use commas to properly punctuate compound sentences. Make sure you've paused and put this in your notes. Your cue words are commas, compound sentence, coordinating conjunction, comma errors in compound sentences, focusing on missing commas for Grammar Game Plan 13, and a comma splice for Grammar Game Plan 16. Make sure you pause and put this in your notes. And as always, a comma is just a punctuation mark that we use to indicate a pause, separate items or phrases, or join sentences with a coordinating conjunction. It helps us keep our ideas clear and make our sentences flow nicely, and you should have this in your notes. A compound sentence, you may recall, is a sentence that's made up of two or more complete sentences. For example, Jillian is learning to play the drums is a sentence. She wants to join the marching band is a sentence, and we join them into one sentence with the word and. We can make compound sentences with a comma and a coordinating conjunction, or with a semicolon, and today we're going to focus on making that with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. So all of our emphasis is going to be how we use commas and conjunctions to make compound sentences. Make sure you pause and put all of this in your notes. Before we can finish, we need to know that a coordinating conjunction is a word that connects words or groups of words of the same sign. So it's like an equal sign. What's on one side is going to be on the other. So if it's a noun, then it'll be a noun. If it's a sentence, it'll be a sentence, so on and so forth. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions, and they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so, as indicated by fanboys. So for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so, those are the words that can be coordinating conjunctions. You may notice that a couple of them can also be prepositions, so it's all in how they're being used in the sentence. Make sure you put all of this in your notes. The rule is that when you're joining sentences with a coordinating conjunction, you have to have a comma before the coordinating conjunction. And when you forget that comma, it becomes Grammar Game Plan number 13, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Put this comma rule in your notes. Some more examples of compound sentences. We can see that there are complete sentences on each side and that they are joined with a coordinating conjunction and a comma in the middle. Pause and put the examples in your notes so you know what you're looking at. So we can have a couple of errors when we work on compound sentences and commas. The first is that you forget the comma before a coordinating conjunction, which is Grammar Game Plan number 13. For example, Jillian is learning to play the drums and she wants to join the marching band. We saw earlier that this is a compound sentence, but this time we see it without the comma before and. We can also have a comma error if we join two sentences with just a comma. This error is called a comma splice, such as Robin called to say she couldn't make it to my basketball game. We knew she had an essay to finish. There's a comma in the middle, but there's no coordinating conjunction, and this is therefore a comma splice. Make sure you've put this in your notes. To correct these errors is pretty simple. For a Grammar Game Plan 13, just add the missing comma. And if you have a comma splice, you have one of 3 possible solutions. 1, you can split it to 2 sentences apart. Add end punctuation at the end of the first and start the other with a capital letter. 2, you could use a semicolon instead of a comma. Or 3, you could add a coordinating conjunction. For example, Katie thought she was the first one to finish the race. She saw Tom at the finish line becomes Katie thought she was the first one to finish the race, but she saw Tom at the finish line. So this is obviously the solution we're focusing on for today, adding a coordinating conjunction to a sentence with a comma splice. Make sure that when you choose your coordinating conjunction, you pick one that makes sense. Since Kate was not expecting to see Tom, we need but, because that's a contradicting coordinating conjunction. And wouldn't work because that would be something she expected to see. So pause and put all of this in your notes. And then move on to practice, where you're going to identify the error in these compound sentences. Is it GGP 13 with a missing comma or GGP 16 with a comma splice? If there's no error, mark the sentence as correct. Also practice by correctly punctuating the sentences below with commas or adding coordinating conjunctions if that's what it needs. If there's no error, mark the sentence as correct. To sum up, commas are punctuation that we use to indicate pauses, separate items, or help coordinating conjunctions join sentences. We use commas to join sentences only with coordinating conjunctions. They cannot be used by themselves because that's a comma splice. You can't leave them out either because that's a missing comma with a coordinating conjunction compound sentence. So make sure that you answer all the questions and submit your Go formative to get your credit. Have a nice day.